MJ-12. In mid-1987, when UFO buffs first got the MJ-12 document in their hands, many of them thought that they were fondling the holy grail of UFO research. This photo reproduction of an 8-page alleged government document is purported to be a preliminary briefing on UFOs for President-elect Eisenhower, released on November 18, 1952, also officially the first day of the formation of the CIA. The MJ-12 document was allegedly used to brief Eisenhower by Rear Admiral Roscoe H. Hilenko, ETA, said to be a member of Majestic-12, a top-secret research team composed of scientists and military men empowered to investigate UFOs. The MJ-12 document claims that in July 1947, an alien disk craft crashed in Roswell, New Mexico, and that a second craft crashed on the Texas-Mexico border in 1950. From where did this historic and apparently earth-shaking MJ-12 document originate? In December 1984, a roll of undeveloped 35mm black and white film was received in the mail in Burbank, California, by Jaime Chandra, a television producer. Chandra has said that the package was postmarked at Albuquerque, New Mexico. The roll of film was developed by Chandra and William Moore, who found photo images of the pages of the MJ-12 document. The first publication of a portion of the MJ-12 document appeared in the London Observer newspaper on May 31, 1987. A small portion of the document was printed in an article by Martin Bailey, titled Close Encounters of an Alien Kind. And now, if you've read enough about the election, here's news from another world. The article was reprinted in many American newspapers in the weeks that followed. According to British UFO researcher Timothy Good, he was the first to publish the complete MJ-12 document in his book Above Top Secret in May 1987. Where did Good get his copy? He stated, "I received the document from a CIA source in March of 1987. When queried as to whether the CIA source had anything to do with William Moore, Good responded, 'I am sure. Oh, absolutely.' The document was published and republished in magazines, analyzed, touted as extraterrestrial gospel, decried as a hoax. But it captivated the imaginations of many UFO researchers, and injected life into an ailing UFO research field to a degree that had not been seen since the halcyon days of the 1960s. For those UFO buffs who are interested in objective evaluation, the fact that no original copy of the MJ-12 document is available is only one of the difficulties in proving or disproving its validity. Because of this fact, no evaluation of the authenticity of signatures, paper, or ink can be made. The document also is suspiciously similar to a description of the one that was shown to Linda Moulton Howe at Kirtland Air Force Base, if a more refined version. Other details suggest that the document is a hoax. The dating format is a mixed civilian and military style, as for instance in the date, 18 November 1952. The military format would be 18 November 1952, lacking the added comma. Single-digit dates also have an added 0 inserted before them in the MJ-12 document, a practice that did not come into use in the military until the 1970s. As pointed out by debunker Philip J. Klass, in available examples of Hilenko et al. Letters and memoranda, the conventional military date format is used. Also, according to Klass, a Los Angeles document examiner has determined that the typewriter used to type the MJ-12 document was not available before 1963. Researcher Kevin Randall points out another significant discrepancy in the MJ-12 document. The document is constructed as a briefing paper for President-elect Eisenhower, suggesting that Eisenhower had no knowledge of the Roswell crash. The problem is that Eisenhower, as the Army Chief of Staff in July 1947, would have been completely aware of the Roswell crash. The MJ-12 report does not resemble in style or substance anything else that I have seen originating from the government, and I have examined hundreds of government documents originating from the same period, many of them dealing with UFOs. The document is also not written in typical bureaucratese, that elusive jargon so valued in government circles. The main problem with the MJ-12 document for me, however, is that it solves too much, wrapping up too many of the loose ends of the contemporary UFO controversy, and proving exactly what most UFO buffs already know. Little new information is offered on the alleged saucer crashes themselves, which is rather odd given the fact that this constitutes our first clear look inside the cosmic Watergate so toured by Moore, Stanton Friedman, and others. If this in fact is a briefing provided to Eisenhower, then it is a comic book briefing that would have raised far more questions in the president-elect's mind than it answered. The loose ends that are wrapped up in the document also neatly intersect with the specific stated beliefs and investigative involvement of the men most closely associated with the report: Chandra, Moore, Friedman. After the publication of the MJ-12 briefing documents, another unsigned document was allegedly discovered in the National Archives, dated July 14, 1954. This is a purported memo to General Nathan Twining, Air Force Chief of Staff, from Robert Cutler, Eisenhower's Special Assistant for National Security. This document states, the President has decided that the MJ-12 SSP briefing should take place during the already scheduled White House meeting of July 16, rather than following it as previously intended. The alleged memo was unsigned, with Cutler's name and title typed at the page bottom. Advocates of the authenticity of the original MJ-12 pages claim that the Cutler memo provides proof positive that the document and the alleged secret MJ-12 consulting group was real, while detractors suggest that the memo is just another fake. The authenticity of the Cutler memo, this supposed confirmation, is doubtful. Advocate Stanton Friedman insists that the memo is real because it was in a classified box in a classified vault, but this only points up Friedman's willingness to overlook the obvious in his anxiety to verify the MJ-12 document. What would have stopped someone from carrying the Cutler memo in with them when examining the supposedly secure box? Joanne Williamson, Chief of the Military Reference Branch, has indicated that this particular document poses problems in a number of ways. Williamson points out that it is not typed on government letterhead and does not have a watermark. It does not have a top-secret registration number. It is the single document with a notation about MJ-12 and the folder in which it was found. The marking top secret restricted information attached to it was not used until many years after the Eisenhower administration, and Robert Cutler was traveling in Europe and North Africa on the day the memo was supposedly issued. Other significant factors, possibly the most significant in the evaluation of the authenticity of the MJ-12 documents and the Cutler memo, are the associations of their recipient and primary disseminators. Jaime Chandra, who reportedly received the film containing images of the MJ-12 document, had in 1980 been involved in pre-production for a fictional movie about UFOs with Stanton Friedman and William Moore. Some rash souls have suggested that the production of the MJ-12 document may have been their next fictional foray. Chandra had also been working closely with Bill Moore and myself on the Roswell crash, according to Friedman. Chandra and Moore had both been in contact with Richard Doty, who was at the time of the MJ-12 documents release working for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Doty was trained in disinformation and psychological warfare, and allegedly a self-admitted member of a disinformation group. According to published reports, Moore has stated that Doty reported to a Pentagon official named Hennessy, reportedly chief of security for the stealth project. It is impossible to gauge Doty's actual connections, since portions of his service records are censored, although while stationed at Lindsay Air Force Base in West Germany, according to Class, Doty was charged with falsifying official documents and telling falsehoods to his commanding officer. A formal investigation confirmed these charges, and Doty was decertified as a special agent with the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and returned to Kirtland AFB in late 1986. Doty spent his last 2 years before retirement in food services management. Doty was allegedly involved in an earlier UFO hoax regarding a sighting near Kirtland Air Force Base in 1980. An anonymous letter, purporting to be from an airman and indicating that the same information had been submitted to the Office of Special Investigations, was sent to a UFO organization. According to researcher Robert Hastings, careful analysis of the anonymous letter reveals that it was almost certainly typed on the same typewriter used by Doty. According to Dr. Bruce McCarthy of the Fund for UFO Research, Doty also confessed to William Moore that he'd been involved in another hoaxed UFO incident, called the Ellsworth case, and that he had forged documents and submitted them to researchers as authentic. Was Doty or the OC the source of the MJ-12 documents? Did he forge them? No conclusive proof exists. But the plot continues to thicken. Researcher Lee Graham has reportedly said that William Moore had contacted him in an intelligence capacity and that he worked for the government in releasing sensitive UFO information. According to Graham, Moore had flashed a Defense Investigation Service badge, although Stanton Friedman in his 1996 megajoules-12 apologia titled Top Secret, Majic puts a different spin on the event. Friedman says, as a joke, Bill once pulled out a MUFON identification card, flashed it at Lee, and indicated that he was working for the government. Lee bought it. This sidesteps the issue of this alleged impersonation of a government official, as well as Graham's memory of a government badge, not a MUFON card. Friedman carefully sidesteps these matters in his defense of a person who has otherwise admitted to collaborating with agents of the government. Another issue that Friedman does not approach in Top Secret/Majic is Moore's association with men claiming to be Air Force intelligence. Although I was not present at the 1989 MUFON conference at which William Moore spoke, Jacques Vallée was, and offered the following description. In a confused and embarrassing presentation before the MUFON conference, Bill Moore indeed confessed that he had willingly allowed himself to be used by various people claiming to act on behalf of Air Force intelligence and that he had knowingly disseminated disinformation, although he has never been on the payroll. This is a mere play on words, of course. Not being on the payroll does not mean that he was not paid in cash or through other means. Moore gave a weak excuse for his actions, claiming that he had acted in a heroic private effort to infiltrate and ultimately expose their operation. Does Friedman avoid bringing up these matters because they provide additional evidence that the MJ-12 document is a hoax? or simply because he is Moore's friend. It is impossible to know, although Friedman's recent career as a UFO expert has been largely based on protesting too much about the discrepancies in MJ-12. Although the MJ-12 document has not been conclusively proven to be a fake, the weight of evidence suggests that this is the case. More significantly, to be given serious consideration, in order to be factored in as valid data into any real evaluation of the nature of UFOs, it must be proven to be real, and this certainly has not taken place. In a sense, it doesn't matter if the MJ-12 document or the Cutler memo are proven to be counterfeit, since the majority of UFO true believers will continue to believe what they want, despite any facts to the contrary. My experience is that a significant portion of the UFO hobbyist community use their obsession as a form of excitement, for the feeling of being in the know, and as a substitute for a life. Deep down, they hope that we are being invaded by evil aliens. That aside, it is obvious that the government is attempting to defuse UFO investigations by overwhelming them with incendiary disinformation and by having informants report on the activities of groups and individuals. This is no longer the matter of conjecture that has buzzed among UFO researchers since the earliest days of these investigations. Now there is more than enough proof to show that this is the case. Providing more support for the idea that UFO abductions may have more to do with humans than aliens, we do know that the American government, at least, is in possession of top-secret aircraft of a radically different type than orthodox aircraft, and that these may include saucer craft. Certainly there is much evidence to show that advanced disc craft designs confiscated from the Germans after World War II may have been put into production. It is only in recent years that the existence of this kind of aircraft has been able to be fairly easily verified by observation outside the military installation known as Area 51 in Nevada. Before this sort of testing moved on to other regions, large crowds would gather outside this military preserve for UFO watching parties. There, on many nights, Wednesday was said to be the most active night for the flights. One was able to observe strange aircraft doing aerial maneuvers that would have been impossible for the unclassified aircraft of which we are aware. But that does not make these craft extraterrestrial, nor does it make them extraterrestrial/human technological hybrids. It does make it obvious, however, that the people who maintain that this is the case, without a shred of hard evidence, are blithering idiots. The relatively common occurrence of garden variety humans being seen in the vicinity of, entering and leaving, and sometimes piloting UFOs may be another significant clue as to the meaning and origin of these craft. Many operations which are said to take place inside the saucers and performed by alien beings are in fact carbon copies of the kind of operations performed on the restraining tables of psychiatrists in the employ of the CIA and other military and intelligence agencies, right down to the reports of tiny electronic brain implants inserted through the nose, the standard insertion technique for both brain control shrinks, as exemplified by Dr. Jose Delgado, the originator of the technique, and, so we are told, the Grey Aliens. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.